Today is August the 11th. We're meeting in the Nueces County Commissioner's Courtroom in the Nueces County Courthouse. This is a budget workshop. I'll read the charge. The Nueces County Commissioner's Court will hold a budget workshop today, August the 11th, at 8:30 a.m. in the Commissioner's Courtroom, located on the third floor of the Nueces County Courthouse, 901 Leopard Street. The court will discuss matters related to the 2014-2015 budget, and let the record show we start at 8:30. Okay, Steve, please.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Excuse me, guys.
We left off last week. There was numerous questions and some charts that the court asked me to provide you, asked Dale and myself to provide you. And today, and at that time we said we were going to come back again this week, give the court a chance to take a closer look at what we provided them for as a proposed budget. So we're back to, I'm going to go through these charts I have and then also answer any questions you may have. And also we have Johnny Hipp will be over here to give you a presentation on what they're considering for a budget at the hospital district, and that was at a request also of commissioners. So with that, the first page that I provided you, it's just really a compilation of all the rates we talked about last week, and it can get confusing, but the numbers, I put it down like this so you can look at it and you can kind of sort through what differences are. So if you start way in the left here, the first one that's the current rate, and the current rate, it has the general fund, debt service, road, and then the total rate as itself. So that our rate adopted last year was 34.5187 cents. Now the effective tax rate, which Dale provided last week, and summarizing it up in this here, the effective tax rate for 14-15. Again, that effective tax rate is 0.319622. The difference between our current rate and the effective tax rate, you can see in the very next line, which is red numbers there, it's a 2.5 cent decrease from our current tax rate to the effective tax rate. And that's a combination. Again, the general fund decrease would be a 2.17 decrease. The next line here is the proposed rate, which we included in our presentation last week. And so we were proposing that the court would adopt a rate of 0.335130, and that compared to the effective tax rate is a 1.5 cent increase over the effective tax rate. And the very next line shows you it's a 1 cent decrease from our current tax rate. So the proposed rate as compared to the effective tax rate is 1.5 cents. So we're increasing the taxes above the effective tax rate. As compared to our current tax rate, we're taking off a penny. The next section here with actual dollars and cents, if you adopted the effective tax rate, you would get new growth revenue increase of about $342,000. Adopting the proposed tax rate, with the proposed tax rate, you notice that this is using proposed tax rate. This, and I hope this doesn't confuse you. The first one is the new growth gets you an increase of $282,000. Additional, using the proposed tax rate, you'd get an additional $4.5 million for the general fund, which is a total of 4.782 increase in our general fund revenue. Then the next line is our debt rate, and we're, as Dale was proposing, the revenue for the debt rate is going to be decreased by a total of $2.22 million. So the bottom line, adopting a proposed tax rate would result in a $3,629,487 increase in total revenue. And that just kind of gives you those numbers, that you have on a piece of paper, that we don't do it, we were doing it in the back of the envelope the other day, and this kind of just puts together all in one piece. So, yes, sir. That's a combination of new growth and additional above there. Yes, sir. The next thing is I can't resist by using our tax rate charts, but they're real, and this is the Nueces County tax rate chart. The proposed tax rate would take us down, as you see, a penny less than what we had last year, going from 345 to 335, and you can see that from the 2005 peak of 43 cents, we're down just about 9 cents, 8.5, 9 cents. And we had a pretty steady from 2008 through 2013. We just had a flat tax rate. The hospital district tax rate is down now. This is the effective tax rate for the hospital district, and that's a 0.137 or about 1.1 cent decrease over the current tax rate, and it is the effective tax rate. The combined tax rate of the county and the hospital district, which the court will be adopting when we adopt the tax rate, and which will be part of the assessment against our citizens for both the county and hospital district. That tax rate is down 2 cents from last year. The proposed tax rate is 0.473. Last year's 0.493, and again, that's down from a high of 65.5 cents back in 2004, 2005. You'd asked to break out this is the exemptions that are provided by the Corpus Christi, the entities within the city of Corpus Christi. The Nueces County tax exemption, the homestead exemption is 20% of the home value with a minimum of $5,000. For over 65 and disabled, we give an exemption of $62,500. The city of Corpus Christi's homestead exemption is 10%, half of what you're providing, and a minimum of $5,000. They're over 65 and disabled is $50,000. CCISD has a homestead of $15,000. Over 65 and disabled is $60,000. Delmar is $5,000 for homestead, and over 65 and disabled $50,000. Then the hospital district is the same as Nueces County. So you can see the court as a whole gives twice as much exemption as any other entity within the county. Really, when you look at, you'd have to take a look at, of course, the value. $100,000 house should be given $20,000 exemption. The city would be given $10,000. CCISD would be given $15,000, so that's not quite twice as much. You'd have to go to a $150,000 house. We're given twice as much there, substantially less. With the scenario I have here is showing last year's tax rate, last year's average home value of $105,018 for the county. Last year, this is without a homestead exemption, a taxpayer would pay $362.51 for the county and $155.51 for the hospital district, a total of $518 of taxes on a average home value of $105,000. with our proposed tax rate for the coming year, which is a penny less than last year, the average home value going forward this year is $108,268. The proposed tax rate again would be $362. It's a change of 33 cents more than last year. And for the hospital district, who's adopting the effective tax rate, it's a reduction of $6.69. Overall, for an average home value of last year as compared to this year, our tax rate last year compared to this rate, there's a $6.36 reduction to the taxpayer on a $108,000 home on average. And we know on average home values can be different from one place to the next. Now the same scenario, this is under the assumption they have a homestead exemption, and so now the total values, last year they paid $414,000 as opposed to $518. So with the homestead exemption, there's about a $100 reduction in what they paid last year. And in the same scenario for this year, they would pay $409. Again, a homestead exemption on an average home, county hospital district shows about a $5 decrease in taxes paid.
Hey, Steve, explain something to me.
Say again, sir?
On your 2014, on this sheet, the 2014, 2015 home value,
Yes.
you've got county, hospital district, and combined. Is that supposed to be?
That's a mistake. That should be 108. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
On the 2014, the home values, it's got the county 108, the hospital district 108. At the combined, I should even take it out of there. It's not needed, but it should be 108 rather than 105. Yes, and that'd be for all my scenarios. Yes, sir.
Is the math on 108?
Well, yes, it is. I did the additive up and down. So.
Excuse me, Joe, I'm sorry.
108 on that column?
Yes. And I'll correct that and get it back to you.
Thank you.
And it's on all the sheets that I provided here. And then the last one is, this is, Commissioner Gonzalez asked for this sheet, and this will show you what the effect, if you adopt the effective tax rate this year with the same $108,000 average home value, the total reduction in the homes of an average home would be $18.52.
While we're all soaking this up, I want to go back to page 5 for just a minute. And at the Urban Counties meeting a couple of meetings ago, Travis County is sponsoring legislation. Good morning, Lisa. Is sponsoring legislation for this next session that would allow counties to do a flat amount of homestead exemption, and their legislation is going to be $25,000 maximum homestead exemption, and the purpose of that is their average values on homes in one section of Travis County has gone up so much that a percentage homestead exemption, like we have 20%, if that house is worth $800,000, a 20% exemption is $160,000. What they want to do is cap that exemption for the larger houses at $25,000 and make the people who have larger houses pay a whole lot more tax on their house because of the reduction in the homestead exemption. I thought that was tremendously unfair, so I voted against the resolution, but it passed the urban counties, and so you may see something like that, giving counties after the next session the ability to use a flat amount or a percentage. And of course, it's going to increase their tax revenue substantially if that passes on larger homes, because I think they were giving 10%, maybe. I think they were doing 10%. But anyway, it's really an interesting thing. But I thought it was tremendously
I
unfair.
suspect it'll run into an electric storm in the legislature.
Well, never know. Anyway, just thought I'd pass it on in case you see it. So. Okay. Questions of that, other than correcting those last 3 pages? Okay. Thank you.
Steve, what would be interesting one day is if you go to page 2 on your Nueces County tax rate, is to show that same graph, but show what the potential tax rate could have been raised to from a maximum perspective. So in other words, each year we can go 7.99% above the effective tax rate. It would be interesting to look at what that graph looked like.
I think I would come close to that, although I would have to go back, and Dale may have files of what the effective tax rate was each year. If we go back to looking at the effective tax rate, then we can add that to that.
And what, on slide 3, Steve, what year did Nueces County and Spawn join forces? Was it before?
It was back in 2099.
95.
95?
95, 96. No, because we'd be coming up in 30 years now. It was a little bit further.
Well,
When the agreement was a 30-year agreement, and I thought there was still 13 years. Well, anyway, it was in the 90.
They kept using 95 or 6 in those public hearings. So
That's what I thought.
I have those. I have the tax rate. I'll give you a chart that shows what it was. It was quite a bit higher.
Yeah, what I think would be very interesting for people to see is where the tax rate was headed when when the county was by itself.
Yeah. No, I definitely get you that. I have that data. I just as years went on, so I will.
Thank you.
Well, to get the real impact, you need the tax rate before the 5 or 6 years before.
Right. No, that's right.
Yes,
no,
that's what I'm talking about.
And it was going this way.
It was
I have
headed
that chart.
north.
It was going this way, and it peaked up, came back like this.
I think you gave us that.
I've had, as I say, that each year. In fact, last year it was part of the 95, 96 showed some of that rate last year. I just have been dropping 1 year off and adding one there, but I have it all in the file to run that. Yes, sir. So I'm sure it's 8 years ago.
From the hospital district and from the county, because I know the county was going up by itself, because of the workman's compensation.
Right.
All of a sudden they hit us like a freight train. Nobody was expecting a $3 million hit back in 2000.
Yes, that was yes, sir. That was 2003. Right. That was the year that when we did a major. That following year, we did the major reduction in force. That was 2000 January. That was So that was that was. This is a county tax rate, and we were at 37 at 99, and then you can see that we just by 2003 we were up to. When we were at 33, we were up 3.5 cents, 4 cents. That's it there. As I mentioned the other day, as far as this Friday, we're planning and sending out the letters to the elected officials. So as we proposed last week, we'll be sending out a letter with a proposed salary increase for all our elected officials of 3%. I just wanted to reach. We said last week we were going to come back to that, and so you've had time to look at that, and so if there's not any other questions on that, we'll move with that.
Steve, I'm just looking when I'm looking at the home value here, and I don't know in the paper I noticed Delmar. How do we figure the home value, or is it because we want to set that 108? Because Delmar says something about the home value right now in the community was 121 or 125. Or
The home value. Remember, we're county, so our home value encompasses the whole county. So the western part of the county plays into that. And quite frankly, their home values are aren't as, we don't have as many $100,000 homes out in Bishop and Okaloosa and Robstown, and so when you look
Delmar
at the
does not cover the whole
Huh?
county. Delmar's district does not cover the whole county, right?
Delmar's,
I think it covers the city limits of Corpus Christi. I don't think
yeah, I see,
it takes in the whole county.
That's the rule here.
I don't think so.
and that's the same with the cities. I saw their home values. Yeah, their average home values were higher, but because it's concentrated where the higher home values are.
I was wondering just how, how they come up with that, how can we come up with ours, and,
Well, it comes from the appraisal district. So they have, in fact, they sent me a sheet, or from the tax office, give me the sheet, but they have, all the homes, and then they have the number of homes they're talking about residential. And that's what they calculate the average for us.
I think the Delmar boundaries or the city limits they may include the ETJ. I mean, it may have the same boundaries as whatever the city uses.
Any other questions, comments? Johnny should be here shortly. I told him to be here by 9 o'clock.
I just have one more question. I just want to clear this in my mind, Steve. If we have 108 and 121, and we have, are mostly the residentials that we have the biggest bulk in the city than we do in the other cities? I'm just saying, if you do, maybe it should be, maybe it's not 108, maybe it should be 110 or 115, I don't know.
Well, again, I think the average is, that's all it is, an average, as you say. So the average is going to throw in, both the high and the low valued homes, and so I'm not looking at it for countywide, and that's why when we talk about the taxpayer will look at that and they'll say, well, how many homes in Corpus Christi, or particularly in Southside or in the island, are average home values? Well, very few of them are. But it's it's the other homes that ultimately average out that lower value. But you can't just arbitrarily say, okay, we're going to increase it. The reality is each homeowner, when he gets his tax bill, the first start is what that assessed value is, and the tax rate is applied to everybody equally, regardless of what your assessed value is. So, now, as the judge was saying, that with our 20% exemption, a $200,000 home is going to get a $40,000 exemption, so they're going to get taxed $160,000, and a $100,000 home is going to be taxed at $80,000, of it, for the average homeowner. And of course, the over 65 or disabled gets an additional 65. So if you have a $100,000 home, and let's say you have a $200,000 home, you get on a $200,000 home, you get a $40,000 homestead exemption plus another 65 disabled or over 65. So you're really paying taxes on $95,000. Your taxable value is $95,000, not $200,000, because of the exemptions we have.
Aren't you also, got the over 65 homestead, you're frozen?
Yeah, we have that tax cap is frozen, so the levy, no matter what the value they put in the house, the levy, it stays the same. It's still the same thing, yeah. So.
One thing I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, and I think you may have heard it true, is that the portability of your home value, if you turn 65 and you got a $100,000 home and you move into a $200,000 home, you're 65, you can take the value of your $100,000 home to your $200,000 home, and you'll be taxed on the $100,000. Is that fact or fiction?
I don't know. I've heard that, and I haven't been proven. I'm going to have to ask. I'm going to have to ask the appraisal. I have not drilled down on that, Commissioner. I've heard that rumored. I've heard people tell me that that's a fact. I do know that the house that was at 100,000, once they move out of that, that goes up. But I don't know that. Dale, do you? I haven't drilled down on that.
I've heard that, like you said, Steve, I heard it come out, I believe the tax office did say there's a rule that says you can port your value from one house to another house within the same area, the same city or same taxable value, and you can move your value to the new house. Now, if it's true or not, I'm not 100% sure. I've been hearing the same thing Steve's been hearing from the tax office, but that's something that we have to research in the tax law and then see what the appraisal district has to say about it.
But it's just within that jurisdiction.
I believe that's true, but without really studying the law and having a strong attorney coming saying that, I would not say 100% correctly, but I've heard that same scenario that you've been saying, yes.
Yeah, I think you've heard it go from county to county.
I think he's going to build a house.
I'm going to keep my $22,000 to Ocean Drive. As long as you got the address.
Well, Teresa checked they are on the way over.
That's good. Any other questions on page, whatever it is, tab 7, where we talked about all the potential increases and everything else? We might as well run through that, because this will be the only other meeting we have.
We will have the next. Yeah, the next step we have in this is on the 20th of August at a normal, regular scheduled Commissioners Court meeting. We will also have an item on the agenda to discuss the tax rate, and then at that point in time, the court will take a vote on the proposed tax rate, and we anticipate, proposed tax rate which will exceed the effective tax rate, but the court will formally take that vote and be a roll call vote, and after that, then we'll be publishing in the paper and on the website and everything else we have available a 1-page or a quarter-page notice that was going to advise the public that the court is proposing to increase taxes if you elect to go with our proposed tax rate. You'll be increasing taxes, and they'll give the values and the amount of information that, as far as increases. It'll state in there that we're going to have 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is going to be on the Friday the 5th of September, and the second public hearing is going to be on Friday the 12th of September. So the 2 weeks, a week apart in each one, and so we'll go through the public hearings, and so that will be the next meeting that we have to talk about our budget stuff there.
You said increase in our taxes?
It's an increase.
I thought we had decrease a penny on each one of the county and hospital districts.
Again, it's talking about taxes. Okay, so and again, in truth, and if you go back to the slide here, even with the average home value.
Okay, it's going to go up 26 cents.
This 0.26 cents is an increase, but overall, we're increasing our taxes. We're going to, with our proposed tax, if we adopted the tax rate, the effective tax rate, remember we were going to get about $260,000 increase. Adopting the tax rate that's proposed $2 additional revenue. So we are getting additional revenue, and it is due to the fact that we're increasing the taxes. Decreasing the tax rate by a penny, but overall, because of valuations, we're increasing taxes. Now, the hospital district will not be will be not having a public hearing on the hospital district, because their proposal is for them to adopt the effective tax rate, and so there won't be an increase in taxes for the hospital district. So all that will be published there is their effective tax rate and the normal calculations of that effective tax rate, and then there'll be a published notice that we're going to the normal 72-hour notice for the meeting itself.
So while we're increasing 26 cents, in county hospital district is reducing to 5.35, so the 509 is between the both of us.
Yes, and don't get hung up on that 509 too much, Commissioner, because remember, again, that's
Looking at what's
That's
there.
just on an average home, and if a home's value had increased, I mean, a lot of our homes increased 10%, more, 15, 20, whatever, if your home value increased, you're going to get hit with that value increase, and so our overall tax revenue increase is Dale, what was it? Was it 7? Our overall increase in taxable revenue, it's 6-7%, I believe. And so that increase, is really an increase due to appraisals and values.
Is it also true, since the hospital district's adopting the proposed effective tax rate, if a person's appraisals go up, the amount of money they're paid to taxes could go up?
Yes.
So that's the fallacy and the public perception, and Tom Whitehurst won't get off of this, is that the assumption is that if you adopt the effective tax rate, you're going to see a reduction in your taxes. And that's not true, because you're I guess under the politically correct term, you're profiling, basically saying everybody's value is going to remain the same in order to make that happen, and that's just not true. You can adopt the effective tax rate, and individual's taxes could actually go up if their property values went up.
That is correct. In fact, the notice that's published in the paper, it says exactly that. It says, this is all on average, but individual taxpayers' changes could be more or less. It's all on average, but more or less depending upon what your house has been appraised. So, if you get a increase appraisal on your home of 20%, the effective tax rate applied to that, you're going to have a major increase anyway in what you're paying for taxes. So it is based on ultimately what your appraisals are.
Steve, if we had adopted the effective tax rate, and I know you did that kind of on the last page there, but if you go back to the first page, page 1, our effective tax rate is 0.319622. So if we were to adopt that, you show this new growth increase using the effective tax rate, but I thought the effective tax rate was supposed to come up with a 0.
It comes up with it excludes new growth. It comes up 0. So the taxpayer that had the tax was on the rolls last year, that same rolls, there should be no increase. But if you add new property, that wasn't on the roll last year, that comes on as new property, and you get that increase.
Okay,
So in Dale's calculation of the effective tax rate, they actually back out the new growth values, and it's not included in doing the effect.
The 342,156, that's, when you say new growth, that's additional taxable property.
That's yes.
correct.
Not necessarily, new growth is,
If you want to, if you go to tab 4, if you have your book from last, and Dale, you want to go there, and you might show them that, but it does show in here the new growth, which for the general fund, tab 2, page 2 of the numbered pages that you had from last week. And that shows there was new growth for the general fund of 68,366,200. That was the new growth values within our tax values.
68, okay, wait a minute, I hadn't found it yet.
Where are you? Tab 4,
Page 2,
And if you, you go in about, there's it's page 2 with we numbered penciled in last time. And if you look at the third line from the bottom the fifth line from bottom says new improvements, 370 million. And if you look at that, he backed that out. That's subtracted away from the taxable value to the adjusted taxable value. And that adjusted taxable value then is what's used to
Calculate the effective rate.
effective tax rate.
Okay, okay, hold on.
Okay.
I was on the wrong page. I still hadn't found it, Steve.
It's the fifth page, tab 4. Go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth page in. I guess I had numbered it, but I numbered it wrong, I think. But at the top it says general fund effective tax rate calculation.
Okay, so general fund effective tax rate calculation.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The new improvements of 370 million.
And from the bottom, the fifth line up is at new improvements.
okay.
And that's taken away from the total taxable value to get the adjusted taxable
Okay, so
value.
new improvements, so that I understand that, that is new taxable
New value.
property?
Not
That
necessarily.
include increase in the valuations of existing property?
No, basically it would be if you had a vacant lot and now you're building a house on it, the house is now considered a new improvement.
And so that'd be part of that 370 million?
Yes, correct. We take that out to calculate what we call the adjusted tax value, so that our effective rate is doing, like Steve said, the value, the property we had on our tax roll last year and this year is the same property that we're looking at to do a rate. And then when we calculate the rate, any new property is additional value we can now tax on, and like Steve was saying, we would see a $342,000 increase if we're using the effective rate.
Commissioner, on tab 4, page 6 is what we're looking at.
Okay, so the 319622, which you brought over here to this page, that is taking out the new new improvements line.
Correct, that's correct.
Okay. And so what you're doing on this new growth column, Steve, is saying that's adding it back in.
We get that tax money here.
Yes,
So-
basically, like Steve's saying, if we use the effective tax rate, we get our same value we had, our same tax levy, but we can include additional $342,000 on top of that. So if we were at 60 million, we could add another $342,000 on top of that.
But for the purposes of calculating our effective tax rate, that's removed,
Correct, that is correct.
reflected in this .319622.
Correct.
And I think
Well, that,
it does get added back in when we go to roll the taxes to the
Yeah,
taxes.
we actually do the rollback rates and the other rates that we add those values back in to
so the
calculate the total amounts.
$3,629,487 number, the proposed increase in revenue includes that new growth.
Yes.
Yeah, if you go back to 1, 2, 3 more pages, is where he has the full page of general fund calculations of, and the taxable value, and Dale, you might have to go through this again, but the taxable value where he starts at it,
Which page, Steve?
it's
Tab 4?
tab 4, from the first where you're at there, go back 3 more pages. And the heading of that page is in this landscape page, it's General Fund 2004 tax rate budget calculation using the total effective tax rate, I believe it is.
Go ahead
When you say go back 3 pages, you talking about toward the front or toward the back?
for the back.
Towards the back.
The title will say on the very top, General Fund, the 2014-15 tax revenue budget calculation using total current 2013-14 tax rate, effective tax rate. That'll be the title of the page.
All right, I got it.
That's correct. Okay, so you take the effective tax rate, which is for the general fund, it's .265432. You add in the taxable value excluding the ceiling property. And as you can see, there's an asterisk right there. And that calculation is down below. You take the line 19 of the truth and taxation taxable value, which is the 22,023,010,362.
And Commissioner, if you want to reference back to the previous page we had there, that same number's on.
Yeah.
So you can see where we're at. We're using that. And go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, that's your if you look at the 3 pages before that he was talking about, where you get that figure is you're taking your appraisal roll, you're adding in your rolling railroad, you're subtracting out your tax freeze, the ceiling, to get your net taxable. From that net taxable, you take out your TIF to get your total taxable value, which matches the line 19 that I just read to you. Then you subtract out your new improvements, and that gives you your adjusted on the previous page, the 3 pages before. So, back to the one that we had just gone through, the 3 pages back. You take your total taxable value, you add back your TIF captured value of $286,170,804 to get your taxable value excluding the ceiling property of $22,309,181,166. That number there does include your new improvements. That gives you, whenever you add back in your property value for the ceiling tax,
22,309. I don't see that.
22,309,181,166.
That's it's on there, 2 places.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
That and that are the same.
God, we got to get these pages numbered next year.
Yeah, we'll definitely make.
It just drives me crazy. You can't figure out where the hell you are.
I'm so sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah, mine are numbered wrong too, from Steve's and theirs and.
Okay, so on the one that says General Fund 2014-2015 tax revenue budget, it has at the where it says the calculation of 2014 taxable value, that 22,309,181,166. That includes your new growth. And so whenever that asterisk at the top that I had just spoken to you about, where it says total taxable value excluding ceiling property, that includes your new growth. Then you're taking the general fund levy, which is you're multiplying the tax rate obviously by the tax value, and adding in the frozen tax levy receivable to get your general fund levy of $464,297. And then we're estimating a collection rate of 95%, which gives us the general fund tax revenue budget of $58,391,082, which is an increase of $282,371. Did that help at all?
No.
Okay. So
I'll figure it out.
whenever you're calculating the rate, you add the new
They just
growth
jump
back in.
all over the place, Your Honor, and the pages are not numbered, and I can't figure out where they are. And it's just very frustrating. So I'll get with Steve and figure it
I'll
out.
come sit down and we'll go through it.
It just what I'm trying to get to is the fact that when you reflect the effective tax rate, that you really need to have 2 columns. You need to have one that shows the real effective tax rate, which is by law 0.
No. By law, this is by law.
By law, you get to include the new growth.
By law, this is by law. This is the way they calculate is exactly the way it shows by law, is step by step. And the new growth has always been allowed. the effective tax rate calculates the same as of the property that was on the rolls last year. So
The effective tax rate is the rate that will generate the same amount of money that you raised last year times your current valuations.
and the valuations
And the
Excluding
valuations
the valuations
includes or
excluding-
does include,
excluding new growth.
excluding new growth. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, see, if you take the new growth out of this, then it is zero. The only thing that's added is for the new growth. I mean, so what we're showing you is what you're really going to see in your fund balance. I mean, you're going to get this additional revenue. The reason you're getting a different revenue is because there was that new growth out there. The tanks are built.
No. I realize you're going to get that growth. What I'm saying is the true effective tax rate does not include that new growth.